YouTube, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. Let me adjust myself here. Let's put this chair back. Let's lock in. Because the Fed is flooding the system. MicroStrategy, Jay just dropped $168 million on Bitcoin, and Wall Street's oldest institutions are quietly rewriting the rules of global finance. And guess who's involved? And yes, they are all pointing to the same thing happening right now. If you're not paying attention, you're already behind. Let's kick it off with this. The Fed, they're injecting $16 billion into the system. Why is nobody talking about this? On the 18th, $8 billion. And then another $8 billion on the 20th. You know what that means. QT is over. Balance sheet support is back, and rate cuts, they are coming. Every major asset class is already pushing all-time highs. Every single one except crypto. That's right. Look, that's not a red flag. That's the setup. The setup we've been waiting for. Here's what's actually happening. The flood is fed. The Fed is flooding. How about that? They are flooding the system with liquidity, right? Smart money knows it. Institutions, they know it. The macro conditions right now are more bullish than anything we've seen leading into 2020 or 2021. So why isn't crypto moving yet? One word, regulations. That's it. One freaking word. One bill. One act. One announcement. That's all we're waiting for. Your regulatory clarity, that is the final gate, and that gate's about to open. When the crypto bill passes, and it's gonna pass, the capital that's sitting on your sidelines, waiting, watching. It's like a Blink-182 song. Waiting, watching, come home, I'll go. She left me roses at the door or at the stairs. Okay, right? Am I right? That's Blink-182. But it's not going to trickle in, folks. This money is going to flood in. We're not talking about a 2x, and we're not talking about a measly 5x. We are talking about a rotation into crypto, especially altcoins. That will be generally difficult to comprehend in real time when it happens. Look, this isn't hype. This is liquidity mechanics. This is macro. This is the calm before what I believe will be a generational bull run. The window is open right now. The question is whether you're positioned before the gate drops. And if you thought that was a power move, well, wait until you hear which company just got over $168 million of Bitcoin this week. That's right. MicroStrategy, they said, we ain't ever scared. They didn't blink an eye. $168 million. You see it on your screen. They added close to 2,500 Bitcoin to their stack. DCA around $67,710 per coin. Folks, that's not a small bet, man. That's a hedge. That's a power statement if I ever seen one. Here's what makes this, though, absolutely insane. They now hold over 717,131 Bitcoin. That's over $54 billion worth of Bitcoin sitting on one company's balance sheet. Imagine if they got hacked. Holy crap. Now, that's the end of Bitcoin if they get hacked. I'll tell you that right now. But let me put that into perspective for you so you can actually understand how big this actually is. Most countries don't hold that much. This is one company. Most sovereign wealth funds don't hold this much. This is one company. Strategy is playing a completely different game than everyone else in the room. And if you thought what they did was a power move, wait until you see how Wall Street's oldest institutions are quietly rewriting the rules of the entire market. That's right. Think about this for a second. What if the smartest minds on Wall Street were quietly publishing their playbook, but nobody was reading it? BNY Mellon isn't just a bank, folks. It is the backbone of the global financial system. 50 trillion in assets under custody. 50 trillion. Decades of navigating crashes, crisis, right? And complete market rewrites. And now they finally opened the door. They're introducing to you BNY Institute, a research and insights engine built from the people who actually keep global markets running. I mean, we're talking about real analysis here from experts who don't just study the financial infrastructure, they built it. market perspectives, deep dives on complex issues, signals on what is shifting and why it matters for your money, your business, and your decisions. This isn't some surface level commentary here. This isn't some bullshit TikTok or Instagram trying to get your click. This is distilled intelligence of an institution that has seen everything, and they have survived all of it. Check this out.
For more than 240 years, BNY has stood at the heart of global finance, helping clients navigate complex markets, building financial market infrastructure, and supporting resilience across the system. We see across regions, asset classes, and ecosystems, giving us unique, trusted perspective on the global economy.
We believe a more secure, efficient, and connected financial system leads to better outcomes for investors, markets, institutions, and communities. We connect the dots and separate signals from noise, translating ideas into innovations that strengthen the system. Global perspective for global progress.
We created the BNY Institute as a natural extension of that belief and our drive to always deliver more for clients. Here we bring the industry's best insights from experts across the company, always fresh, always relevant, and always actionable.
Elevated outcomes start with an elevated perspective. With the launch of the BNY Institute, we're proud to offer ours.
So to every client, industry professional looking
The BNY Institute exists for one reason, everyone. So you stop reacting to the market and you start understanding it. And speaking of understanding where the market is really heading, wait until you hear why Ripple's CEO personally called out BNY Mellon, yeah, the same people that we just listened to, as the only partner he trusted to back RLUSD. Now, folks, as we are halfway through, as always, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Let's try to break 1,000 likes on this video so everyone can hear it, and share this video with someone that needs to hear it. So we got the world's oldest bank, BNY Mellon, made a move that could change crypto forever. And most people forgot about it. Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse, he announced that BNY, yes, that 240-year-old Bank of New York, is now the custody partner of RLUSD, Ripple stablecoin. Think about that with what I just showed you. Brad's exact words is BNY is the best trusted, well-regulated, and capitalized partner to build trust in the system. Now, this isn't a small fintech deal. This is Wall Street's vault opening its doors to crypto. And don't forget, we got the BNY Institute. I wonder what that's going to do for crypto. Listen to Brad.
Why BNY? Well, look, I think as the crypto industry has emerged from the last administration where the industry was being attacked, working with the most trusted, the most well-regulated, and even the best capitalized partners is a way to continue to build trust in this system. And stablecoins at their core, by their nature, it's a dollar backed with a dollar in deposits. BNY Mellon has, for a very long time been amongst the most trusted partners out there for as a custody bank. So we're really pleased. We think it's indicative of the shift of tide where we've had headwinds for this industry are now becoming tailwinds. And I think we're going to see a lot of growth.
Look, let me tell you why this matters. BNY holds over 49 trillion in assets. When an institution that size backs your stablecoin, it doesn't just add credibility. It signals to every bank, to every government, and to every institutional investor on the planet that both XRP and RLUSD are no longer operating in the shadows. Garlinghouse himself, he said, this is the shift from headwinds into tailwinds. That's bullish. For years, Ripple fought the SEC. They fought the skeptics. They fought the narrative that crypto couldn't work with traditional finance. That fight, it's over. Now the biggest names in traditional finance, they aren't blocking Ripple. They are partnering with them. RLUSD, backed by BNY, is the bridge between the old financial world and the new one. And XRP, it sits right in the middle of that bridge. There's no fighting that. And if you thought that was wild, well, RLUSD just did something that nobody saw coming. And the market cap numbers are absolutely insane. Now, let me put this into perspective for you. Because everyone said Ripple was dead. RLUSD was never going to be anything. So why is there a stablecoin quietly climbing the charts right now? RLUSD just broke into the top 50. Not XRP, a brand new stablecoin that launched less than a year ago. While everyone was distracted by meme coins and ETF drama, Ripple was busy building something the financial world actually needed: a dollar-backed stablecoin with institutional grade credibility, running on both the XRP ledger and Ethereum. I don't think these institutions trust Tether, do you? Now look, the stablecoin market is a war right now. Tether dominates, USDC holds its ground, and dozens of projects are fighting for table scraps. But RLUSD, it isn't playing for retail. It's playing for your banks, your payment corridors, and your cross-border settlement. You know, that $1 trillion plumbing underneath the global finance. Ripple has already signed over, I believe it's over like 800 financial institutional partnerships. That's absolutely insane. BNY Mellon is holding their stablecoin. That's adoption. That is real institutional follow the money adoption. And the people who noticed early, guess what? They're already getting on board with Ripple and what they're doing. Now here's where things really get interesting, because RLUSD cracking the top 50 might just be the opening act for something much bigger brewing inside of Ripple's network, because it seems like banks are quietly ditching Swift and switching over to something that you probably already own.
Ripple payments now live with Caleb and Brown.
And it was really tricky for us because we're trying to scale a crypto business, but we depend on these old dinosaur banking sector industry. With Ripple payments, we've been able to capitalize on better Swift technology such that our accounting team can just click through and wipe out hundreds and hundreds of US dollar withdrawals in a matter of minutes instead of hours. So with this, it's basically a bridge between the innovation and the speed of the crypto industry with the reality that the US dollar and traditional banking systems still exist. So Ripple payments is a solution for that. The outcome for them is if they're doing withdrawals, they're getting the funds significantly faster, and it's allowing us significant scale.
Look, we're talking over like 800 financial institutions across 40 different countries have already plugged into the Ripple network. I mean, we're talking Bank of America, Standard Chartered, Santander, SBI. And here's what no one's saying out loud and they don't want to admit. Swift sucks. It's slow. It's expensive. It takes 3 to 5 days. Only recently did they just add tracking, and it could cost up to $50 per transfer. Reminds me of slow-ass Ethereum. We got the IMF, who just acknowledged Ripple in the official report with the BIS. We got central banks who are testing XRP as a bridge currency for cross-border settlement. The exact job that Swift was built to do. Look, Swift's been the global backbone since 1973, and it's never improved, it's never updated, right? Over $5 trillion moved through Swift every single day. Now imagine if just 10% of that shifts over to Ripple's rails. Do the math what that does to XRP's value. And while retail investors are still debating whether crypto is real, JP Morgan, Citi, the Bank of England, they're already running pilots. The suits figured it out before the tweets did. Look, if your bank is already using Ripple and you didn't know, hey, file for more of this financial intel we're dropping. The news that they don't want you connecting. That's going to do it for me. As always, hit that like, make sure you subscribe.